Right, everybody right now should be at the presentation.io with the correct number so you can view the presentation as I go over it. So at this point you all should be there. Okay, so besides, coming up with your thesis and picking a side and testing your reasons and thinking about the audience and thinking about who it's going to affect, all right? So the most important part of the essay is the evidence. All right, so supporting your persuasive essay reasons with evidence. All right, so what we're going to talk about is this today. And this is nothing new. So this is nothing new. Everything we're doing is just a review. Remember, an essay is an essay is an essay. What you use for personal essay is the same thing you use for persuasive essay. All right, so the first type of evidence is so using explanations. So sometimes, guys, do me a favor, don't get up until everybody's done. I'll tell you when to throw your stuff out. So sometimes you have a reason, and like we already learned, sometimes this reason needs to be explained. All right, because the reader does not easily understand what you're talking about. And we practice this with our personal essay. So let's just kind of look at another example. So let's just say your thesis is extracurricular activities should not be eliminated from school just because students are littering on school grounds. And the reason is teachers will lose money. So right now, don't even look at the document. Look at me. How many of you don't understand? Those of you who didn't go ahead and read it. How many of you don't get it? Like, what do you mean? Okay, teachers are going to lose money because you're eliminating. How many of you don't get it? Okay, therefore, because you don't get it, the writer has to give an explanation. Okay, so that's the first bit of evidence. So if you look at the explanation, go ahead, take a second and read it to yourself. So if you look at the explanation, the writer goes ahead and explains that, when the teachers or the staff participated in these extracurricular activities, you can throw it out, they get a stipend, they get money. So now all of a sudden, if you cancel all these extracurricular activities, these teachers are going to lose tons of money. For example, Mr. Krupp, he does at least 4 or 5 extracurricular activities. So you figure about $2,000 per extracurricular activity. So how much money is that in a year? Oh my gosh, my math people. $10,000. That's a lot of money to be losing, right? So this is a true fact. It appeals to the audience. You have plenty of evidence to support it, all right? So another example of an explanation would be, okay, so here's same thesis. Here's the reason. Students will become less fit. Eyes up here. How many of you don't get it? Okay, so you have no extracurricular activities. How many of you don't get it? Like, how are they going to be less fit? You all get it? Yeah. All right, so let's read the writer provided an explanation. So it says, extracurricular activities include sports. Here at Eisenhower, we have 8 different sports students can participate in. Students that participate in any of these 8 sports don't just get the cool factor of playing on a team, but they also get in good physical condition. During practice, students run drills, push-ups, sit-ups, and other exercises. All these exercises help students with their strength and cardiovascular levels. If you take away these sports, students may not exercise, which will cause them to be out of shape. Provide an explanation. Actually, doesn't it seem like that explanation, what else was kind of really in that explanation besides an explanation? Pick one. Nope. Examples. All right. So now here's what I want you to do. On your Google Doc, all right, let's just say that here's your thesis. All junk food should be eliminated from the cafeteria. All right, and the first reason is it will create healthier eating habits outside of school. So, why don't we do this? Go to Socrative.com. Let me start an activity. All right, so if we're talking about the thesis, whether or not they should include, here's an example of an explanation with a transitional sentence, not a transitional word. Everyone has a sweet tooth. We all have that special food that makes us so happy, but yet is bad for us. If the schools intend to take these foods away, the world might come to an abrupt ending. I mean, I can't even imagine the world full of only health food. Schools should definitely not take away junk food in the cafeteria. Nothing good can come from this. It won't cause good eating habits anywhere else. Really, it'll do the opposite. When kids are deprived of the junk food they so desire at school, their cravings will increase. Hence, when they arrive home, they will fill up on unnecessary amount of junk food. With so many American schools banning junk food, no wonder America is the world's fattest country. So, what she did, if you notice, is she explained right here, okay, this is her little explanation. You know, when they come home, they're still going to eat the junk food. And then she had a transitional sentence. Right? So then if we looked at this one.
No wonder why America is the world's fattest country.
All right. So this one right here went with the traditional, please stop talking. Went with a traditional transitional word. First off, it will create healthier eating habits outside of school. And then here's your explanation. If a student is forced to eat healthy foods in school, they may find that this food is also delicious or at least not terrible. This will cause them to eat these healthy foods at places outside of school. Okay, so they explained it. So if you are not ready yet for a transitional sentence, it's okay to use a transitional word. Some of you are totally ready and transitional words are above you. Okay, there's nothing wrong with transitional words. Below you, yeah, you got it. All right, besides explanations, you all know you can use mini stories. So our eyes are either on your Chromes, where you have the presentation in front of you, or your eyes can be up here. All right? So you understand what a mini story is. You're using the language of the disciplines. You're using personification and similes and metaphors and anaphora and hyperboles. Right? You're telling it from beginning, middle, end, and you have to make sure you angle it. So an example of that would be this. So we're still doing that whole extracurricular activities should not be eliminated, and teachers will lose money. So after my explanation, then I would put in this mini story. So go ahead and read this mini story to yourself. Now, if you look at this, it's a straight, simple mini story. It doesn't really have any of those language of the disciplines that I've been encouraging you to use. It's pretty solid, though. It definitely angled and definitely proves a point. So go ahead and read. Here's another example. Go ahead and read that to yourself. Okay, so you have your explanations. You have your mini stories. The other type of evidence that we learned about when we were doing essays is a list of examples. So basically, instead of explaining, please don't do that to the computer. Instead of explaining everything in a mini story, all you have to do is you just have to mention it with a list of examples. All right? So we said faculty will lose money. So I could talk about Mr. Riley, I could talk about Mr. Foreman, or I could talk about Mrs. Flickinger. We're not talking right now. So what I do is I basically went through each example one at a time, briefly explaining how that party would lose money. So go ahead and read it to yourself right now. So beside those, the other ones that we mentioned that you can also use is you can use hypothetical situations as evidence. What is a hypothetical situation? Tell the person next to you. Alright, what is it? I heard somebody say you make up a story, but you are allowed to make up these mini stories. But the difference between a mini story and a hypothetical situation is what? Michael. Yeah. So it's something, you got it, something that could happen. So you could say, imagine this, or picture this, or here you have Joe. All right. The other thing you can do, you can list facts, all right, or statistics. So this is what you're going to do now. You're going to take one of your reasons from our do now, where we had to come up with a yes and no and all reasons, and you tested them out. So I want you to write down your reason, all right, and I want you to develop that first body paragraph. So you're going to have a transition, okay, it could be a word, or it could be a sentence, transitional sentence. You're going to state the reason somewhere, and then you're going to have all of your evidence. So it's going to be a pretty lengthy body paragraph. Now, how much evidence? As much as you can to prove what you're trying to prove. All right, so on your own right now, I want you to go ahead and write that body paragraph. All right, so this was the prompt that you had to come up with reasons for. So you're going to take one of these reasons and you're going to develop it into the body paragraph, one body paragraph to prove one reason.